Hi, I'm Sarah.
And I'm David. We got to talk about episode 3 of The Bachelor.
And we do. I got emotional.
And we got a new villain.
I love that. But first, if you're new to this channel, please click subscribe and give this video a thumbs up.
And if you want to support us on Patreon, you can find the link in the description. Okay, Sarah, this has never happened as long as we have live streams, but I have a little bit of breaking news to share.
What?
This literally happened when you hit the timer. I checked my text messages and got this message from a friend of mine. Dale and Claire are over.
I heard rumors of that. Morning, David. Is it official? Do we think it's over?
It is over. 2 hours ago, Dale posted on Instagram. Let me just read it.
Yes, please.
I wanted to share with you all that Claire and I have decided to go our separate ways. We appreciate the love and support we've received from so many people, but this is the healthiest decision for both of us at this time. We strongly believe in leading with love and always remaining true to oneself, something our families have taught and instilled in us throughout our lives. We only hope the best things for one another. Done.
Who would have seen
that? Honestly, I mean, when this happened, didn't you think that's forever? You know, we both said it.
it. Roll back the tape. Never did we ever say that whatsoever. Oh, I mean, I hate to laugh at any breakup. That's not funny. But it was so hasty. It was.
I'm sorry. It is funny.
The quickest thing in the world.
Blew her chance at a full season of finding love on The Bachelorette after one little romp in the bed with this guy and then left with him and it's over. Like, yeah, that's funny.
That's what it is. You summed it up by saying she wasted her thing.
Yeah.
She had an entire season.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And she took one look at Dale and was like, I'll take that one, please.
She's like, check, please. I'm out of here.
We're done. Bye. And he was pressured into it, proposing within like 2 weeks of meeting her.
Oh, my God.
Then it didn't take him long to be like, what did I sign up for? That's my theory on how it went down. He was like,
yeah. No, we all saw it. We all saw his face as everything was happening. Like, this was not meant to be. And sure enough, here we are. It's over. Another Bachelor couple bites the dust. But we should talk about Matt James because surely he's going to find love, right?
Surely.
Anybody believe that?
Well,
no?
We have higher hopes for Matt because he's at least going through the process, okay?
Mm-hmm.
That he's got going for him. But so this episode, episode 3 that we're going to go through tonight starts where episode 2, of course, left us on this cliffhanger when Sarah is about to pass out.
Yeah, about to pass out / steps safely off of the platform and then, says, I need to sit. I'm feeling faint. I'm just not buying any of her BS at this point based on what happened in this episode. So, she's feeling faint, like she needs to pass out. And then, Matt is there checking in on her and she's like, I just need some fresh air. And so then she walks outside and gets some one-on-one time with Matt and, huggy, kissy, kissy, here's my jacket. And then she's like, I feel better and walks back inside with the Bachelor's jacket on. I was like, you're being rude, Sarah.
That is bold. Yeah. I mean, this is the start of the episode. And like we talked about in our last video, I assumed she had too much bubbly, not enough food, been standing on those risers too long, and just got, lightheaded. No big deal. And so as we're starting, I was like, it's not uncommon to have this type of moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, she gets to wear his jacket. He gets to hug. Are you okay? That's a little extra icing on the cake for her. But I wasn't thinking she was doing this on purpose, even though some of the girls were saying that. But this is the beginning of the episode. We go on a journey.
Yes. I mean, the other girls are they're kind of in this place where they like want to be annoyed and they are annoyed, but they also kind of want to be understanding of like, oh, I hope she's okay. But they're very much like, I just wish this could have happened. I think it's Kayla who's like, I wish this could have happened after I got my rose, because now I'm like sitting down waiting for her to be comforted by Matt outside while I'm still wondering if I'm in the race. Like, is Matt going to give me a rose or not, you know? But when they come back inside, he kind of like continues the rose ceremony. And it's, to me, mostly like, you know, unceremonious, you know, it's just kind of like, okay, like call out the rest of the roses, but except that Marilyn goes home, which was a bummer.
Yeah. I mean, at this point when he was like, okay, let's get back to the roses, I was like, oh yeah, wait, what is it that I'm supposed to remember about the girl? Like, I forgot that we had a whole buildup between Victoria and Marilyn. And I was like, who are these girls that are left? Like, do I care about who gets a rose at this point? I'm confused. And so, yeah, he gives away just a few more roses. And then I'm reminded, oh yeah, we know Victoria's about to get a rose. And he's down to one. And neither Victoria or Marilyn have a rose. And I'm a bit shooketh at this point that he did not give Marilyn a rose.
I'm a bit shooketh, I guess. Like I say, it was unceremonious, but I do remember now, like when the camera panned to every girl left on the final rose, I literally was thinking like, I know Victoria's going to get this last rose, but any one of these women should get it over Victoria. Like, Victoria's there as a joke for good TV, right? But like, this is like, all of these women were like legit, seemed great. You know, I mean, can I tell you their names?
Honestly, we don't know.
But I am confident that they're like more in this for good reasons than Victoria is, you know? So I'm like, this is, the other girls who have roses must be like, okay, this is officially a disaster. Like, why is Victoria getting the rose when there's all of these great women?
This is a joke, right? This is a joke. And honestly, it kind of is. It is clearly set up by production. And I feel so horrible for Marilyn and the other girls, because it's like, we have to make room for this girl that we're putting on for good television. But I mean, Marilyn, like, did you see her body is banging? Like, as she walked out, I was like, man, this is a hard pill to swallow, letting this girl who seemingly is just fine.
Right.
Watch her just leave while we have to keep Victoria, who, did she get stung by a bee? What happened in this episode?
Sarah.
It was like several days of one eye just like swelling even more.
I started to think like, is she getting a sty or something? Because, and maybe that's why she can't wear, you know, as much eye makeup as we might expect to see on someone on one of these shows, because her right eye, I think, or maybe whatever eye it was, just starts to get more and more swollen. And I'm like, there looks like there's an infection cooking up in there. Like, where's the medic?
I'm worried about a girl's eyes here. They're just like, they already, these bags were like, and now it's like something else is going on and she needs to be looked at by a professional. I'm worried about her eyes.
Yeah.
Okay, so we said goodbye to Alana, Marilyn, Ileana, Kristen, and Sydney. Not really sure who they all were. So
we know who Marilyn is. I know that Alana was the one who did the pasta bit at the beginning. She's the one that I will always insist got the first kiss with Matt.
But you also insist he didn't like it.
He didn't like it. And now we have proof because he sent her home. Now, Sarah, just real quick, since we're live, I got to say, you're breaking up a little bit on my end. So just want to make sure you're on the correct internet. But if you are, then we're good to go.
I am. And you're breaking up on my end. So
it's me then. It's my internet.
It's the world is what it is. I don't know.
All right. Okay. It is what it is. It's workable for me. But hopefully it is for you too.
Yeah. Chat. Let us know if it's really bad, because it's not bad from what I can see. So if it gets bad, we'll just kick David out and make him reboot.
Yes. Perfect. Okay. So then Chris shows up sort of the next day, you know, after the rose ceremony. And he basically says, well, he says that Matt is not comfortable being uncomfortable. And so I'm going to help curate these experiences. And I think what he meant is Matt is boring and doesn't like anything fun. And so I'm going to plan these dates for him.
You know what? I have to say, even though, thank you, chat. I have to say, even though everyone's calling him boring, he seems like a good egg. I mean, the things that happen in this episode, he handled really well, and he seems to be a supportive, kind person. So I'm gonna give him a pass on what the people are calling boring as being a decent human being.
Okay. I'm going to circle back with you at a couple points throughout the episode to have you explain how Matt handled a situation well. But we'll because I just got a couple that like came to mind immediately, so I'll just like check in with you.
Boy.
About
them. Oh boy. Okay. Oh boy.
They all involve Sarah. Spoiler alert.
Yeah. I would imagine they do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like also being comfortable, uncomfortable. And I was like, please don't make this more extreme sports. Like that's all I ask is he uncomfortable with extreme sports? No. So I don't try to sell me on that. I don't buy it.
Yeah. Yeah. So the girls head off. They get it's a group date first, right? It's 2 group dates, they say this week, and one-on-one date. And first is the group date. So they're heading off. They meet Matt, and immediately Matt looks uncomfortable because he's in this turtleneck outfit. And somehow Brendan totally changed the fashions of The Bachelor with his appearance on The Bachelorette with every turtleneck every episode. And they want to put Matt in a turtleneck every episode because it's fall. And turtlenecks are back.
Are they? Okay. You know, he's from New York. David, we're Southern California. Maybe we just didn't get the memo. Maybe we don't know, you know, New England fashion, but clearly turtlenecks are in because he wears 2 different ones on 2 different days in this episode. And at one point, one of the girls was like, I love your look. And I was like, what? Did you feel like you had to say that?
I know. I own a turtleneck, but I'll say I'm always embarrassed when I wear it. You know, I'm always like, are we allowed to do this? And Matt just doesn't.
Wear it up, David.
The way they're folding the turtleneck it's not flattering. I don't know what's going on, but I do not love this like blue jacket with the white turtleneck. It doesn't look like it's his style. He immediately looks uncomfortable. They go to their group date, which Chris has planned to be the most uncomfortable thing, but very entertaining with this erotic reading.
Chris nailed it when he was like, I'm going to help out. He was like, I know what's uncomfortable. And he did it. Okay, but first off, Chris wrote an erotic book. Did we know this?
No, I had no idea. I was like, okay, first of all, Chris Harrison did not write it. It was a ghostwriter. He put his name on it. But I was like, what? An erotic novel? And then, of course, it's read by Ashley I. Your favorite is back, Sarah.
Well, yeah, I was like, why is she back again?
Yeah. Remember when she sneezed and was like, oh, sorry, COVID, and like didn't cover her mouth? Well, she's back. That gets you booked again on The Bachelor.
Yeah. All accrue. Chew didn't cover her fiance husband was like, cover your face. And she was like, it's fine. We're in a bubble. I can sneeze all over these people. So yes, they brought her back. That's great. Who is okay. So she's reading part of this book, I guess. I don't know what's happening. I'm very confused. And I was like, well, way to plug your book, Chris. Way to go. That is a very good producer job. And now the girls are tasked writing some sort of sexy story. And I gotta say, this is when I would have tapped out and been like, I'm sorry,
you
Matt.
Tapped out.
No, thank you.
And Victoria leaned in, of course. Like when Ashley I is going around and like she's having her Tim Gunn moment where she's like checking in with the girls, like, how are things going? What do you have so far? And they're reading them like it's a lot of what you would expect, like a lot of like long, hard, thick. Like this is the language that we're using for these stories, of course, because it's like erotica. Okay. And Victoria's is already like making Ashley I like do a double take. Like,
yeah,
what
she's like,
did you just say?
Whoa. But it was kind of funny the way they edited it because they start with Kit, and Kit's like actually very good with her words, and she's like a little bit flowery, and she's like kind of making it like poetic, and then boom, it's like bleep 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 from Victoria, and you're just like, of course, but Victoria's not going to be like all flowery with her words. She's just going to be like lowest hanging fruit. Let me just blurt it out. basically.
Right. And what editors and producers love about dates like this is that they can bleep whatever they want. Even if it's not a dirty word, they throw in extra bleeps just to like really get the comedy going, because our imagination is way funnier than reality, you know? So they're just like bleeping whatever they please.
Oh, there's so many bleeps. I was lost. I was like, I can't even pretend to understand what the heck they might have just said.
Yeah.
Corey, thank you for the super chat.
Thank you, Corey.
Yeah, I would call that a cringe date, but honestly, the girls by the end of it were laughing and talking about how hilarious and how fun it was.
Having the time of their lives. So when we finally get to, you know, the performance part of this, the rest of the girls are now the audience. We kind of saw this like date format in The Bachelorette last season. So they're there to enjoy stories, but they don't fully know what's going on yet until it's explained. And then Matt is the first one to get up. Now, Sarah, what did you think of Matt's reading?
I mean, Matt's was decent. Like I don't like any of this. No, thank you. But if you're going to be forced to do it, it seemed like he put a little effort in it to make it kind of poetic and classy.
He did try. He tried. The moment that really got me was when he said, like, you know, this scent lured her into the kitchen, and he goes like this.
Yes.
Chocolate cake. So intense in his face, like, chocolate cake. Like, not sexy at all. But he tried. He tried. And they all applauded him at the end, like, Matt, you tried. You tried. You made yourself uncomfortable. Okay.
I thought that was funny because if you put me in this situation, I am going to write the most humorous thing that is not sexy at all. So when he said, chocolate cake, I was like, that's right. You take them on a turn. Haha.
Yeah.
Plot twist. You didn't see that coming. Chocolate cake.
Yeah.
That I connected with that.
I'm glad you did. I'm glad you did. The standouts for the girls for me were Katie and Victoria, honestly, because they just went full bore, raunchy. You're going to bleep every other word. Katie ends hers by like moaning very loudly, you know, having her like When Harry Met Sally moment on stage, faking an orgasm. Victoria reads hers, and it's the nastiest one, if we're to believe the bleeps, right?
Right.
But she reads it very sort of monotone, which is like great because she's just reading it like this. I write this stuff all the time. Like, this is boilerplate for me. And all the girls are like, oh my God, Victoria, what are you saying?
Yes. I mean, I don't know what Victoria was saying because there were no words for me to judge, but the reactions, because like they show us Katie's, and Katie's is funny. Like, we know I love Katie's sense of humor. Did you buy her sense of humor yet? Are you on board?
I'm getting more on board. Yes, I will say that. Mm-hmm.
So she's like, all right, I'll go all in. Like, I'll have a little fun with it. And you know, the girls watching, their reactions are like, and then their reactions with Victoria is they're like, their reactions were hilarious. So even though I don't know what she was saying, I was like, they actually seem to be kind of enjoying it.
Yeah. No, they were like leaning back, pushing each other. Like Ashley I is like covering her face, embarrassed. You know, like yeah. But Sarah, not you, Sarah, our villain, Sarah. She's not enjoying this. She's having a very hard time. There's lots of cutaways of her sort of like head in the hands because she's just had this, you know, wonderful one-on-one date with Matt and has a genuine connection with him. And this is kind of like snapping her out of that fantasy that she's built for herself with their connection.
Yeah, it might be a bit of a trigger for her that this guy who, I don't know how it happened, but she had one date with him. And you fell, you're there. Mm-hmm. And other girls are joking about doing dirty things with him. And she just didn't work. That was too much for her.
Yeah. Not a fan at all. Mm-hmm. But Matt continued, you know, the audience goes home. Yeah. Matt continues the date with like the cocktail portion of the evening. And this is where he's starting to get one-on-one time. And all of these one-on-ones to me were awkward because they're trying to sort of characterize the stories that these ladies have written as like genuine or sort of like a snapshot of their connection so far. Like Matt was like, Rachel, I could really see you in that story. And Brie, I really feel like you just captured what our connection is so far. And I'm like, you did?
I think he was like saying, yeah, those things, I'll get on board with those things with you.
Sure. Yeah.
You like to do those things?
Yeah.
I will try them as well with you.
I will see you at the fantasy suite. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
That was my take. But I think it's Rachel that they show us first with him, and it does seem like they're having a great connection, right? Is it?
Oh, yeah. I honestly, the more I watch, like Rachel hasn't even had a one-on-one date yet.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I think she might be the winner. Like this just feels like he's into it.
The very first episode, we were like, yeah, we see them vibing, like it's there, and they're definitely still vibing. And I think everybody kisses, you know, until things blow up, but they're all kissing. Matt's very on board with kissing everybody. Sarah, and now because you told me to watch, yes, I had to watch because David told me to watch, and you're right. It's like this. Coming in.
Yes.
I was like, oh,
every time. And the eyes, it's like he's staring down at the bridge of a nose as he's just plopping his open mouth on their face. I'm like, somebody's got to clue him in. Like, give him just 5 minutes of private time with somebody so they can just coach him a little bit. Because it's disgusting. I do not like it.
Like, if I saw that coming at me, I'd be like, ah, what? All right, hold on.
Yeah. Now, after we get these first two one-on-ones with Rachel and Brie, we check back at the mansion, right? Or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
And we're getting another date card. Knock, knock, knock. Now, did you notice that Abigail said, my heart sinks every time I hear the knock? And that kind of threw me initially, but then I was like, okay, she must have some sort of like a cochlear implant where she can hear, but maybe not fully. Because she said on night one, like, I'm going to have to read your lips. So she must use lip reading as like an additional tool to, you know, communicate. But I was like thrown like, wait a minute, what? You heard the knock?
I was too. I was like, she said she heard the knock. I'm like, you can't read a knock's lips. But I do think she said, without my implant or without my thing on episode 1, she was like, without that, I'm completely deaf.
Got it.
I think she said something like that. So she does have something that helps her. So I was hoping that she missed everything that Sarah said and Victoria said. And like, I was hoping she was like free and clear. Like, I'm living my best life. I just listened to Matt.
Yeah, right. What? There's drama in the house? I had no idea. Sorry, I missed it. Like,
yeah.
But she's there. But no,
she did. Yeah. So, right. Is this when we get our knock?
This is the knock, and then Serena P is the one who gets the one-on-one card, but this is where Sarah's not down there for the date card. And they're all kind of like, where's Sarah? She hasn't come downstairs all day. And then we check in with Sarah, and she's fully dressed, sort of sitting by the fireplace very dramatically.
So she's not down with the girls because she's struggling. She struggled with the sexy times that Matt might be having with other people. And she decides that because she's struggling, she should go talk to him about it at this time. That is just this time. Why not right now?
Why not right now? Yeah,
I don't want to wait. On my cute jacket because she has a collection of adorable jackets. Why don't I put one of those on and just go find Matt wherever he is? Well, he's with Katie because he's on a group date right now.
Okay. Now I have to know, in this moment, you and your sister were rooting for these two because, you know, you share the names and now it's a showdown. What were you two thinking in this moment? Okay.
Well, we didn't get to watch it together today.
Oh, darn.
So she hasn't even seen it yet. But yes, I was like, I'm all about the Sarah Katie storyline. And I was like, we get this whole episode. This whole episode is about Sarah Katie.
Yes,
this is about the Atwood girl. I loved it. I was like, how convenient that Sarah's interrupting Katie. And they took a journey. They took a circle. Like they started in one place and ended in a different place. And I enjoyed that. That was like my own personal like little storyline that I got.
It's true. It was a full arc.
In this moment, Sarah just shows up. And now Katie hasn't gotten a kiss yet. Like Matt's kissing everyone, but they just started talking, I think.
They just started talking. Sarah walks in and Katie's face is priceless. She's like
well,
what are you doing here?
You see it because, of course, she's going to get interrupted at some point. That's how this works. So she's like interrupted, but then she's like, you're not on this date. Like you see that in her face register that Sarah's not on this date.
Yeah, right. And so she's not pleased, but she graciously is kind of like, okay, this is weird, but sure. Take your time and hopefully I can get more time later, you know, because I think her head was very much like, and she vocalizes this later, but she's thinking, this is kind of my first shot at alone time with Matt. And you're not even on this date and you're interrupting me. What is going on? So she goes straight back to the girls and she's like, sorry to interrupt your conversation, but Sarah's here. And I'm obsessed with Victoria because she goes, Sarah? As though she's never heard of her before.
Okay, but first we have to say, we don't like the way Victoria says Sarah. She says, I can't even do it. Sarah, I can't even do it. I've heard people say it before, so it like jolted me that she said it that way because I have heard it before, but it is incorrect. That is not our name. Our name is Sarah. And she says like, Sarah. I don't know. I can't do it. But she has an accent all of a sudden when she says the name Sarah. And I was like, Victoria, you may not say that name ever again. We're done here. But she's, of course, like, what? And I have to say, Victoria is not the villain of this episode. She is like comedy queen in this episode.
They are loving Victoria at the challenge, you know, at the erotic reading. They're like, oh my God, Victoria, so funny. We love you. And now she is just kind of not really the ringleader, but kind of like
outspoken one.
Yes. She's like on the front lines of this issue that everybody's having with Sarah because she's the most, like you say, outspoken. She's willing to just say what the rest of the girls kind of want to say, you know?
Right. It's kind of like, I'm thinking that, but Victoria's going to say it for me, so I don't have to look that bad. And she's kind of funny. Like her bit is funny when she like lets go of the crazy.
And I think they're all probably like a bit relieved that Victoria is attacking Sarah and not them. You know, they're like, oh, finally a break from her. Like, yes, just focus on Sarah. Yeah, great. But then Victoria's like, Katie, go back there. Go back and get your man, get your time back. And Katie's like, you know what? I should. You're right, Victoria.
Well, I think Katie was like, oh God, I should. Oh, I was like, Victoria, you do it. Why are you making Katie do it? But I loved Katie. Like, again, I love her humor. She saunters in and she's like, you're not on this date and I want to have time. And Sarah's just like, yeah, I need like 5 more minutes. And Katie goes, how about 2? And Sarah looks at Matt as if like, you want to say something? Of course he doesn't. And she's like, can you just, you know, whatever. And so Katie just like takes a step to the side and is like, okay.
She's like, I'll just be right over here. And she just waits kind of behind like a room divider that is see-through. Like they can tell that Katie is right there. She's just in the shadows, lurking, waiting, listening while they're trying to like wrap up what is a pretty serious conversation between the two of them. And then
was it David? What was this conversation?
I mean, it's just more of like, I like you. I'm so happy that you're here. And please, you know, give this a chance. I know it's difficult, blah, blah. It's all of that boring stuff.
She didn't, or at least they didn't show us much of value other than her saying, this is really hard. I'm having a hard time with this. And he's like, it is hard. It is hard. But, you know, just remember that we connected and we clicked and I'll see you next time. Like he's just like, it's okay. Like, I'll see you. I understand. It's hard. And so like, that's it. You didn't need to walk over there for it, but you did. And let's wrap it up. And I love that Katie doesn't walk away. And then she like I think she like waited 2 minutes and then she's like, okay, I'm back.
I think she literally counted to 120 and came back in and was like, I'm just checking in again. And she's like, yeah, okay, we're wrapping up. And Katie's like, great. And she just sits down on the couch right next to Matt while he's like trying to say goodbye to Sarah. And he's like, okay, I'll just be right back. And she's like, great, I'll be right here. And she's like, get out of here, Sarah.
Yeah, unfortunately, he walks her out, which is polite, but like, why do these bachelors and bachelorettes not like own the time? Why do they not? They should be the directors. They should be like, Sarah, I understand your fears and it's difficult. I'll talk to you about it tomorrow, and let her walk away and finish the like. I don't.
I mean, he should have been like, we're gonna have a group. Chris Harrison said we're all gonna have a time this week. Like and this comes up later in the episode. They're like, we're all getting a date. Wait for your date to have this conversation with him. But he doesn't do that. I think they want the drama to be between the ladies and not between the Bachelor and the ladies. So of course he's not playing traffic cop here. But then Sarah, says goodbye to Matt. But before she goes, she wants to go and, address what's happened with the rest of the ladies and kind of apologize. And they are not having it.
Yeah. I mean, I appreciated that she went to apologize, but unfortunately it's too little too late because Katie already told them. Had Katie not told them yet, then maybe this would have worked. But honestly, is it going to work? You stole time.
Nope. Sarah walks in and Victoria's like, sup? Because they all know she's here already, like they are immediately coming at her with attitude. There's no like, oh, Sarah, what are you doing here? They know what's up. So she's here. It's a day late and $1 short. And she's trying to say like, I just wanted to express to you why I'm here. And they're like, but you didn't say why you're here. Like, we still don't understand why you're here. Yeah.
So she's like, it's between me and Matt. And they're like, well, we don't know anything then. Okay, bye, get out, bye.
Yeah, right.
And ultimately, I mean, she leaves, but then clearly, David, a producer sent Victoria after Sarah.
Well, she was prepped and ready because she was like, as she's like throwing her coat on, she's like, Sarah didn't even tell us anything about why she's here. And then she throws her coat on and follows Sarah out, like not even 5 steps behind her. And so Sarah's like doing an interview.
David, I can't. I was like, oh my God, this is not even like, I've already given Victoria like a couple props here. Like her quips can be funny, but this was so staged that she's like, hey, are you sick or something? We were worried about you.
No.
That you're here. I was like, what is this acting?
I don't think this was acting. I think she was being consciously condescending to Sarah. Like, I'm coming here with love, I swear. And like, she's like talking to her like she's a child. We were just worried about you. Like, is it your health? Because why else would you be here interrupting our group date? Like, this is our time. Like, she's really talking down to her. I think she's being, intentionally nasty to Sarah.
Yeah. And Katie comes in and is just like, this wasn't cool.
Yeah. Katie comes in. Katie's got a lot of tension in her body. Did you notice this? She comes in and there's like this pulsating aura around her. So I think Victoria's like, you two just talk. I'm going to go inside. And Katie's doing that thing where you kind of like talk with your hands a lot. Like your hands are kind of flicking. And it's like there's this energy in your arms where you want to punch the person, but you can't. And so you're just talking very aggressively with your hands. And I'm like, Katie is furious.
Yeah. I felt like Katie was like really trying to just like keep it together because she wanted to just murder Sarah. But she was like, we're on television, so I'm not going to do it. And unfortunately, there's a group of girls sitting on the couch being like, this really stinks, but like the night's not over. Like, we'll get our time with him. And do they? No, because he walks right in and he's like, so night's over, huh? And they're like, what?
I loved looking at everybody's faces in this moment because he's there giving a speech like nothing happened, right? And I'm like, dude, read the room. You need to address what just happened because they're all like, Anna looks genuinely mad. She's my favorite face to read. She's like, scowling at Matt.
Hate on her eyes, or like her eyes are too big, her mouth. Like, no, Anna is my I love Anna. I want to watch
Anna is, it's her mouth. That's weird. She talks like this. She never really closes her mouth, and all of her teeth show when she's talking. And I can't even do it.
I
Like,
love
it's
it.
so unnatural, but that's how Anna talks, and I'm obsessed with it. And I'm
Yes.
obsessed with all of her angry faces this
All of
episode
them.
because she was on fire because she wanted that time with Matt, and she's not getting it.
She's not getting it. And you know what? Sarah already had a one-on-one, and Anna can't get 1 ounce of time with him at all.
No.
She's had no dates with him. Okay, so Rachel gets the rose.
She does. There's no like, oh, Rachel, we all love you. It's just, it's so awkward. And
It's just
Matt just
like,
kind of walks
"Are you
away
kidding me?"
like nothing's wrong. And I'm just like, this is not good. This is bad.
Yeah. Yeah. But he's new to this, and I don't think he fully understands what's happening at this point.
Yeah.
But what we've got is a bunch of seething women the next morning, because this is when he technically should be picking up Serena P for their one-on-one date. We've got a room full of girls, minus Sarah. And once he realizes there's no Sarah, he goes to get her.
He's got to find her. I mean, this whole interaction starts with another Victoria gem where she's like, Serena, can you tell Matt that Sarah sucks? And everybody's laughing because we all have Victoria now. At least they do in this house. And you're right. Like, he kind of is like, I just wanted to like, a producer was like, you got to say something, like the girls are mad. So he's like, I just want to address what happened with Sarah. And he takes a look around because he wants to acknowledge Sarah. And he's like, where is she? And they're like, we haven't seen her in probably a week. I don't know. We've lost count of the days. And he's like, okay, well, give me 5 minutes, Serena, because now he has to go find Sarah, which I think this is where I want to check in with you, Sarah.
Yeah.
Is Matt handling this the right way?
Well, so yes and no, because does he actually end up checking out the girls? Not that we see. He doesn't seem to address anything with the group of girls. But on the other hand, yes, I thought he handled Sarah very well. He went to check on her. He told her, like, look, this is hard. If you need me to come every morning and say hi to you to let you know I'm thinking of you, then I'll do it. And those are words we all want to hear. If you went on this show and heard that, you'd be like, great. All right. We've got a thing.
I think this is not that kind of thing is kind of not fair at this point in the season when there's 25 girls for you to be like, I'm going to take every opportunity to like, but you're right. Life's not fair. I know that's one of your things, but like, I don't think it's appropriate when there's that many girls in the house to be singling one girl out because she's feeling it's difficult, because other women have made a point of like, we're all feeling these things. She's just centering herself in this situation, and that's what's getting her this extra attention. And I also think it's a horrible way to start out a one-on-one date with Serena, to say like, you give me a minute, I'm going to go check in with this woman that I've already had a one-on-one with. And that's how your day is starting. So I thought it was kind of rude.
No, I agree. Show-wise, all of this is rude. Sarah's being disrespectful. Matt's being disrespectful, show-wise, for sure. But when I saw the two of them together, I was like, he is being a lovely person. Like, I think he seems like he's got decent qualities to him. But yes, for the show, this was a hot, hot mess. Sarah could not have made more wrong decisions in this episode.
Yeah. But he goes up and finds her in bed, falls on top of her. This is like a Dale Claire connection kind of situation. Like, what is going on? It's very physical.
We know how that works out. So
yeah, we do. But he's, telling her like, I have real feelings for you. Please hang around. Yeah. He ends up taking a lot longer than 5 minutes. All the other women are noticing this. They're even more annoyed. And Serena's I think she kind of handles it well. She's like, you ready? Just kind of like sweet and like, let's try to have fun now. And they kind of go off on their one-on-one date and leave the other women just absolutely fuming with the Sarah situation.
I mean, you've made Victoria even says, today's Serena's day. And I was like, if you can make Victoria support another girl, things aren't good for you. Yeah. Okay, so they do go off and they get to have actually a decent one-on-one date. This was lovely.
This feels like a real date that it's not an extreme sport. I mean, I guess maybe some people consider horseback riding an extreme sport, but it's not. You're just riding a horse. Yeah. And, they're able to have normal conversation, it seems, while they're on this horseback ride. They sit down for a charcuterie board. Serena gets to teach Matt what a charcuterie board is because he's not a wine drinker. It's like cute,
It was slightly romantic. It's adorable. The horses aren't racing. They're not jumping over whatever jump things are called in equestrian sports. I don't know. Yeah. And but wait, what's her words? I loved her vocabulary. She was like, my dad lives a linear life. And I was like,
linear life. Yes.
You tell me what a linear life is.
Yes. It's just like, checking off sort of one life milestone at a time. And she's like, my life's different, but my dad's supportive. And, they're talking about family things. Yeah.
They're talking about family. They're having a lovely time. I don't understand why she hates turtles and why that was weird that he had a turtle as a kid.
Oh, I'm on Serena P's side. I'm like, if you have a turtle, what's going on? You're weird. I love that she was like, were you a weird kid? Because that's exactly what I would think of someone who had a turtle as a kid.
That's rude. And I would not give her a rose just for that. Don't judge me by what I wanted as a child. I thought all kids like turtles. I had a turtle for like a week and it escaped, and I didn't get another one.
Only people who had a turtle thought that everyone loved turtles, obviously.
Why wouldn't you love a turtle?
What is to love about a turtle? They don't do anything.
Look, they don't cuddle, but you just look at them for a little thing, like a fish.
Don't even touch it, really.
You can, but that's the difference of a fish. Like you can't touch, but you can like reach in and like touch your turtle. What? Thank you.
I did not know this about you.
Why is David a turtle hater? Thank you. Oh, good. Other people had turtles too. My mom had a turtle, which maybe is why I had a turtle for a week.
Yeah. Well, is there no support in the chat for me, or are you only highlighting the turtle?
I haven't seen your support. If anyone has support for David, please.
Yeah. Am I the only? Is it just me and Serena P thinking that people who have turtles are a little bit weird?
Jack, good question. So, as a kid, I, for some reason, took my turtle outside in his little aquarium boxy thing. And I guess we were playing outside. And then, but like a kid, I left him outside. And he probably was very talented. He knocked the thing over. So the next day when I went to go get my turtle, he had knocked it over and just like wandered off. So he was outside living his best life, whatever.
But you need to meet Matt. I mean, you're married, but you need to meet Matt. And you guys, you have a lot to talk about, I think.
Oh, look, you have one. Oh, you have a couple. Here they are. They finally. They were embarrassed.
Sasha, Corey. Okay. Yes. Thank you.
Okay. Shafika's going to stay in the middle. Thank you.
Yeah, she's the referee. Keep the peace, Shafika. So they have a nice kiss after they talk about turtles. The donkeys interrupt. It's like a cute. Those donkeys were very familiar.
Those donkeys were the best part of this whole thing.
Yeah, they were like up in their business.
Well, because there was food.
Yeah.
Hello. They've got food on the ground, and the donkeys
give me that charcuterie board.
Do I smell cheese?
Yeah.
They were like up and not worried about people at all.
Nope.
That was cute. I liked
very cute
donkeys.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now at the dinner portion of the date, right?
We have to cut back before the dinner. We have to cut back just to check in on Sarah.
Okay.
We have to acknowledge that she has yet to come down. She's not been down all day. She's just living in her room, hiding from everyone and processing her feelings at this point.
Yeah. Okay, so Sarah's still MIA. That is this entire episode. But then at dinner, Serena and Matt continue to chat. I liked this because it wasn't just, there was a little bit of like the donkeys, haha, LOL. But then they actually talk about other things. They're talking about their basically previous relationships. She's, thought she found the one before. Again, it just feels like this is like a 24-year-old being like, oh no, I was heartbroken. And I'm like, you're going to be fine. Trust me. Yeah. But that she's acknowledging like, wow, I'm like surprised at how quickly I'm catching feelings. And then she takes it a step too far for me because I've explained to you
Yes.
The stages of Bachelor love. I'm falling for you. I'm falling in love with you. I'm in love with you. I love you. It's some combination there. She's adding a falling in like. She's adding a potentially falling in love with you down the line. I'm like, we don't need to go there yet. You're not ready for it.
Potentially moving forward, falling in love. I was like, what is that string of words?
Right.
Brenda was like, she's like, I know it's early, but I gotta say something. This is my one-on-one. I might not see him again for like 2 weeks. So
I gotta leave him with the word love somewhere. But it's like, what did you even say? Like, what feeling are you expressing in this moment? I'm really not sure.
Even say. Yeah, it was confusing, but Matt bought it hook, line, and sinker. And he definitely gives her a rose. And great.
He's potentially moving forward, falling in love with her too, apparently. So great.
And then our wood-powered hot tub makes a comeback, and they end the date in the hot tub.
More kissing. More. It's like his mouth has to completely surround her mouth every time. Okay. So then the group date comes, right? The group date card, and Sarah's still not there.
The card shows up.
Mm-hmm.
The card shows up. Do we even get to read it? No, we do not. Nope. Because a producer has said, Sarah, we need you for the card reading. So she just tiptoes in and just kind of tries to slide in on the end of the couch as if we're here for the shot. And the other girls were like, I do not think that's how it's going to go down.
No, they're like, where were you? We've been worried about you. And Sarah's like, oh, that's kind of partially why I'm here. Like, I wanted to address the situation with you. And, if you guys have gotten to know me, and then Victoria's like, we don't know you. She's like looking around at the other girls. Who is she talking to? Do you know her? Do you know Sarah?
Who's she talking to? Oh my God. The way she said, who's she talking to? Like she's not in the room. Oh my God.
I know. Brutal.
Victoria. I mean, MJ started it. She was like, no. It's like, this behavior's not really going to work for me. And then Victoria's like, let me lay it on thick. And then Anna, oh my God, I love her. Because at one point, Sarah's like, it's just been very hard for me. And Anna's like, it hasn't been hard for you. It hasn't.
It has never been difficult for you.
Let me tell you, I didn't get a date. I didn't get time with it.
And her teeth are like this, and she's like furious face.
Oh, I love her so much.
But then, as soon as Abigail piles on, it's game over for you. You really effed up, because Abigail, I think, is the sweetest person in the house. I mean, we haven't really gotten to know everybody yet, but please, she's the sweetest person in the house. And if she's telling you that you messed up, you need to go to your room and think about it.
100%. Oh my God. When I heard Abigail, and of course she said it in a very polite and respectful way of this just isn't maybe you don't need to be here and give us time, with him. Like the way she said it, I was like, oh, you've upset Abigail, Sarah. This is not a good look at all. It's not.
And let me tell you, I have been in a situation like this before where I'm Sarah and a group of yes.
David.
And I interrupted a group date and all the girls were mad at me. And I was like, I'm in love with the Bachelor. No, it's where a group of people is mad at you. And Sarah is there. She keeps trying to justify her actions. And she's hoping for a response from the ladies where they're like, we understand. Okay. Oh, now that you say that, okay, it's all good. Don't worry. But she's not going to get that. So you have to just shut up and let them pile on and say, I'm sorry, you're right. And just take it and let them vent. And that's the quickest way for it to be over with. But she keeps trying to justify, and that's just making them more mad. Serena C is over here like, you're calculated, you're manipulative, you're toxic. Again, Serena C is not someone I want to be on the bad side of.
Oh, no. And Victoria's like, I agree. All of those things, concur. Yeah, and you're right. I get that Sarah is going through a tough time. Look, I think all of us can admit this show would be really hard to do. Obviously, some girls can figure it out and hang in there.
Yeah.
But it's hard for Sarah. She mentioned maybe like past infidelities. And so maybe something has triggered in her. We also know that her dad could pass at any time. Like she does have a lot. So I validate that she's in a really, really bad place. But what she did, she handled it wrong. She should have waited to talk to him. And she knows she did something wrong. So she's apologizing. So if you know that you need to apologize, then do what you just said. Apologize, let them be mad at you, and then hopefully they'll move on from there. But the way she was speaking sounded to me like she has lived a life where she was able to just do whatever it is she needed to do. And everyone will like be okay with that. They will be like, oh, well, she was in a bad place, so she needed to talk to him and like give her that allowance. And I think this might be a rare moment when people don't necessarily have to give her that allowance.
They don't. And like, I'm thinking, did we even read the date card here, or was it just the fight and then it broke up? Yeah.
Yep.
Didn't even get the date card.
They might have read the date card. I saw her put it back in the envelope, but it wasn't clear to us of like, was she like, okay, well, we'll just do that later? Or
Rachel's like, now's not the time. We'll just read the date card tomorrow, maybe. But that's kind of the end of that evening, right? Like Serena's finished her date and, Sarah's had the big blow up moment. And then it's like the next day, right? When Katie is now talking to Sarah one-on-one.
Yes, it is apparently the next day. And I do appreciate, again, we got a Katie Sarah arc. Katie goes and she checks in on her the next day. And I was like, you go, Katie. That's right. Yeah. And Katie has the most compassion we've seen yet. So
true. Yeah.
Katie's the one that got bamboozled from the get-go. So the fact that she has been able to let it go is very lovely of Katie.
Yeah. And she kind of seems like she slept on it and she already feels better about the situation. Or maybe, from the blow up the night before, she kind of got out, she aired her grievances and then she slept. And now she feels like, okay, we really piled on Sarah. Because I will say, like, I think Sarah kind of had this coming, but it did feel very much like the girls were just alone for 2.5 full days together, riling each other up. Yes. And they were really laying it on extra thick to Sarah. Yeah. Like if she had just addressed this sooner, I don't think it would have been that intense. But part of me feels like Katie is here like, I got to make sure this girl's okay because we really let her have it last night. Yeah. Because when she goes up and Sarah's like, I've thought about it and I think I'm going to leave. Katie looks a little genuinely shocked. Like, wait, are you serious? You're really going to leave? Like, and then she says like, you should stay. If you have a connection with Matt, I don't want to be his backup. He's just going to be thinking about you. Please stay and let him realize that you're terrible and send you home on his own. Like, I think that's kind of, the subtext.
Right. It did seem like Katie felt bad that everyone was like attacking Sarah and said no reason to actually leave. But then Sarah does reveal her father's illness and that struck a chord with Katie. And we see Katie get emotional and mentions that her dad had passed a few years ago and that she didn't get to say goodbye. And she's like, girl, do not waste your last days, last months, whatever it is with your dad. Not
I think she's very much like, and it kind of feels like maybe a producer was like, hey, Katie, you need to go check on Sarah and have this conversation.
Katie, you guys have something in common.
I think I think you could help Sarah. But Katie's like, this is not more important than, potential final days with your dad. You should go. And so Sarah's like, you're right. She packs her stuff. She walks out. I'm like, is she leaving without saying goodbye to Matt? But no, she's like getting in the car to go to Matt's compound, wherever he is on this property, to say goodbye to him there. And then before we get Sarah there, the girls are still talking crap about Sarah. They're like, okay, day however many where Sarah's not here in the morning. And Katie comes and is like, she's actually got a lot going on, you guys. I talked to her and like, let's stay classy in this because we're all on our own journey.
True. And that's exactly what needs to be said. Like even us here on the internet talking about it, like we know that Sarah's going through some stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm going to just say she's in a dark place. Do I think she handled this well? No, of course not.
Mhm.
But I'm not going to take any of this away from her. I'm not going to say that she was just purposely manipulating him, because I think she
Sure.
really was in a dark place
Yeah,
and
and, like,
probably not thinking clearly.
and the emotion that like, she's crying the whole episode, and
Mhm.
it's out of proportion for it to just be about the Bachelor. She's been on one date with the guy. Like, I think most of us here in this room right now, like, you don't go on one date with someone and then bawl your eyes out about them. Like,
Right.
I think she's just going through a lot. You're right. It's like a whole thing for her.
Yeah.
But I did not find it classy that Sarah painted a very different picture to Matt when she showed up.
Yes. Okay.
And she
What
was
was
like,
that?
the girls are cruel and everybody attacked me. And she didn't make it really about going home to be with her family at all until the very, very end. Like, she's leaving him with a bad taste in his mouth. And I didn't love that.
No, it was quite an interesting turn of events when she's sitting there with him sobbing, and like she's breathing so heavily that this is real. I don't think that that's fake, but the things that she said, she was like, I just kind of really want to make it clear that these girls are making my life miserable, and it's just kind of not worth it for me to be away from my family to like be with these awful, horrible women. And I was like, well, that's some information right there. And even though they didn't show it in the edit, you have to imagine she said names.
Yes. And like, we are just coming from Katie being like, I asked Sarah, are you leaving because of last night? And she told me no, like, it's the family situation. And Katie's out here defending her. And then Sarah she's like, she's still mad at the women, so she's like, let me just throw you under this Range Rover that I'm going to drive away in on my way out. And, Matt is kind of like pouring his heart out to her. And he's like, I really feel something with you. He obviously, we've seen this episode, he has a very strong connection to her immediately. Yeah. And he's like, please don't go. Please don't go. And she's ultimately like, I still feel like I'm being called to be home with my family. And that's when it becomes more about the family than the situation at the mansion.
Yeah. And he needs to let her go. She is not in a good place. And so eventually he walks her out and she heads out. But you know what? I don't know that Sarah is gone, David.
I felt the same way, Sarah. She said, like, I already feel like I'm making a mistake because he's so great. And I'm like, okay, that feels like we're leaving the door open.
Again, he didn't handle the whole thing well, but he handled her well, where he was supportive and so kind and generous to her. Maybe that's just because he does have a connection with her. Whatever it is, you have to imagine she's showing back up at some point.
I would not be surprised, but she's gone for this episode.
Yes.
But who is showing up next week are our alternates, the other women who have been in quarantine, and the producers are like, we're using you. I know you weren't in the original cast, but get in the limo. You're saying hello to Matt tonight.
Yep.
And
we
got this in
airfare. So let's go. And do we see the other Bachelorette girl? Who is it? Someone else is showing up, or
we did not see Heather in this group.
Okay.
Never been kissed Heather. We have not seen her yet. I don't know if she shows up in this group of alternates or if she kind of like crashes the party even later. But I mean, it just looks like this is going, we're going to see the original women close ranks against these like new threats. So, it looks like Victoria now is in everybody's good graces, especially now that her like toxic roommate Marilyn is gone, because you even see her sitting on the couch with Anna, and Anna's like, oh, people have gone out of their way to tell me that this girl is entertaining men for money, and I'm like, Anna, you're straight up calling someone a sex worker on television.
But I appreciate it. Like, keep it going, David. But like, I don't want Anna to watch and think that I think that that's what it looks like, because Anna's adorable. But yeah, Anna's like straight up confiding. I feel like, though, it's like if you tell Victoria information, Victoria is the one that will stir the pot. So take whatever info to Victoria and she'll handle it from there. I mean, an escort? How does Anna know that someone might be an escort? What?
Truly. Yeah. I'm like, how
What's
do you have this
happening?
information? Like, what? So I'm interested to see what that's about.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. I have not fallen in love with Victoria, but I did find it interesting that she was hilarious in this episode. And I also just want to point out that she was like, Marilyn's got to go. Check. And then she was like, Sarah's got to go. Check.
It's like she's got what is it? Arya Stark's list of like people that she has to take care of, and she's just like crossing them off of her list. So
I'm kind of worried that is what's happening. When she sets her eyes on someone, they're going to go. And that's a lot of power to have in this situation. Ooh. Also, Kit and Victoria were holding hands at one point, and like last week we were like, oh, Kit and Victoria are gonna be battling. No, they're not.
Okay, they're not. But Kit, I'm glad you brought Kit up, because obviously Victoria is at least temporarily not a villain figure, right? They've all figured out how to live with her. She's won them over. She's funny, endearing, whatever. Sarah has emerged as, I think you're right that she's not like a proper villain because she has so much going on in her life, but she was a quote unquote, all the girls were against her this episode, right? So now she's gone. So Victoria's not long for this show. I think we all know. So she's going to be out. Who could be a late season villain, right? There's always an early season villain, and then there's the villain of the season who emerges later. And I think it could be Kit. I think
Kit, my dog Kit. Yes, I'm on board with that because Kit's my kind of villain. She's just like, don't get in my face. She's not like, what is this thing that Victoria's doing? I'm not sure. I don't have a word for what Victoria's doing.
Yeah.
It's a lot. But Kit's my kind of villain. So, Kit, please start posting your looks online, although we didn't really get a lot of looks in this episode. And also stay, because I just need more Kit.
Stay. She's great. She's good commentary. We got some good sort of throwaway lines from her where she's like, I don't want to hear your name or see your face ever again. And I'm like, whoa, that is intense. And good for you.
That is a lot.
Bringing up that villainous side.
That's a lot. Yeah. So we got to learn new people in this episode. We're branching out, but I don't think that changes the fact that he's vibing with those same girls. I think he's still like the Rachel Bree. I mean, I guess we throw Serena in here, although I don't see that. I didn't really see chemistry there. I didn't actually see
either. It feels very much like I like you, not and I potentially moving forward could maybe one day, who knows when, fall in love with you. Like that's the vibe. And I don't think it's ever going to progress beyond that.
Not if she keeps insulting everything he does. Stop picking on him, Serena.
Okay, Sarah, I would like to formally apologize for the turtle talk earlier. I'm sorry that you've internalized that.
No, not at all. I mean, you didn't you can say it to me, but they were on a romantic date and she's like, what's wrong with you? You're weird. And I'm like, this isn't chemistry. What is this?
Yeah.
If someone says that to you on a date, be like, pass. Okay.
Yeah.
All righty.
Well,
okay. Well, you guys, next week is different. We'll be back to our Wednesday night for Bachelor next week. And we are pushing Drag Race to Tuesday next week. Yes. But also starting next week, we're doing a Survivor throwback over on Patreon.
Join us. We've already had several people join us on Patreon. It's as low as $1 a month to join the Patreon. We're going to do Survivor Micronesia, which is an iconic season that people have been telling us to recap for a long time. So we're very excited to do that with you all.
Yes, if you want to rewatch that with us, or if you haven't seen it and want to watch it for the first time, hop over to our Patreon, link in the description. We're starting that next week.
Yes.
Very exciting. And thank you everyone who joined us live and in the chat for this recap. You guys are so fun.
Yes. If you're watching us later, make sure you leave us a comment and tell us how you sort of would characterize Sarah in this episode. Sarah on The Bachelor, not Sarah, my... I
mean, you can talk about me, but I'd prefer the one on...
Yes. And have your feelings on Victoria changed? Like mine have, and it seems a lot of the women in the houses have. And what kind of drama do you think is coming with these intruders, these additional women coming into the fray?
they're dead in the water. No. All right, you guys, we'll see you next time.
Okay, see you then.